when we deal with interracial relationships, I always like to qualify the conversation for people who are listening, especially those outside the community, so that they understand I don't come from a place of hate. Okay. I have nothing against the Caucasian woman, Asian woman, Latina woman, East Indian, Arab, all the various beautiful women of the world. I have nothing against them. But I'm loyal to the Black woman because she suffered the most.
I agree, 1,000%.
At the hands of this society 100%. And this planet. And because I come from a Black woman, I have a special obligation towards her. And when I look at when our successful Black men tend to marry out or reproduce outside of the community, I think on some level it can be insulting to our sisters.
Okay.
I consider it insulting to the community as a whole. And as someone who works in the school, I've had to entertain conversations with Black girls who are asking Dr. Umar, is there something wrong with me? Because it appears that when you all make it, y'all always abandon the community in pursuit of your spouse. And when we look at the wealth differential between successful Black men and the women they choose to marry or reproduce with, it's very obvious that there is a significant financial gain to the woman in many times, which equals a significant financial loss to the Black community.
I've heard you say this many times. That's a very small percentage of the group of overall interracial dating. Because there's only so many successful Black men at that level that can elevate and create generational wealth. Okay. Because if we keep it a stack, Doc, the most interracial relationships we see, because I've heard you say this before, the most interracial relationships we see is a strong, handsome Black brother with unshapely white woman that's happy to guy.
He's equally after.
Trying to be this as clear as possible.
Right.
But it's a Black man that can have any woman he wants, but because he can put his car in her name and he can financially gain off of this white woman who looked like she done had a couple of Taco Bell trips.
Right.
And she happy that she got her a good Black man. And those are the questions of why these young Black girls like, why would he choose her and not me? Because she got the paper.
Right, but either way.
And that's the majority. Now you see the athletes or the entertainers that might get them a.
But that's because there's only a few of you at that upper echelon. Right. But for those of you who are at the top 1%, income bracket, y'all go out the community to marry more than men similarly placed in their community.
That's such a small percentage, though.
Right, but Black men marry outside of their race more than every other group of men per capita.
And I'm not making this as an excuse or an example.
No, not at all. Yeah, but I'm saying that cannot be attributed purely to coincidence. So let me ask you a question directly, Brother Nick. You have beautiful African children by beautiful non-African women.
Right.
Would you say, honestly, your decision to reproduce with non-African women, was that deliberate? I don't want my sisters? Or were you a victim of unconscious self-hate programming?
Now, I've had this conversation on another one of my platforms with our brother Reza Islam. And it's funny because online they cut it up. And they made it seem like I was saying.
And I didn't see that clip, by the way.
Yeah, it was a clip where it pretty much was, I was saying exactly that we've been programmed and conditioned to be that the white woman is superior. That's and I made all the statements that there was a time that, and obviously all the sisters came from because they just saw that element of the clip. There was a time in which white women were looked at as
the standard.
Not just the standard, but symbols of success.
True.
And or even that are unattainable. If we go all the way back to slavery,
forbidden fruit.
We not supposed, and vice versa.
Okay.
They looked at us like we ain't supposed to be messing with them, and we was looking at we are not allowed. We can die if we mess with them.
But see, that's the difference.
Yeah.
You could die messing with them. They're not gonna die messing with you though.
So I say all of that to say I understand the social programming and I truly believe it's so. And then that makes me, as someone who's done the research and had the understanding, goes all the way back to even defining what is race and when was race defined. And as we know.
But before you define that, does Nick Cannon have a bias against black women when it comes to romance?
The quick answer is absolutely not. Because
how do you justify?
I say this because one, just as much, I got a white baby mama, I got a dark skinned baby mama too. So in that sense, I can equally say I ain't got no type. You know what I mean? Like I love women.
But I would push back because as a successful black man who has children with multiple women, for almost none of them, or let me take the positive, only one of them being of African descent, does that not suggest that you clearly search out those who are not of your racial group?
So that's why I had to go here first. And I don't want to get too deep. I want to talk over anyone's head. Of phenotypes. Because in that sense, when I'm talking about the origin of race, because before there was race, there was phenotypes. And really that's just based off of what we look like. So in that sense, to where I guess what the German doctor in whatever 1700s, Dr. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach was the dude, the psychologist who said, who created race. Who hit, I think it was 7 identities, and it was everything from African to Ethiopian to white, to where they could put this hierarchy system that white was on top, therefore that they could classify while everyone else was subdominant. So in that, before that infrastructure was created, and that was even during slavery had already been established here, you know, in America before the term race was created. So it was phenotype in what we look like and origin in which we came from. And as a Pan-African, I know you understand the ideas that even with, we've been there, even within the motherland, even in the continent, there's a hierarchy of complexionism. And sometimes even
introduced by the oppressor.
Of course, it's colonization, and even then now in the terms of I've gotten in trouble for this talking about the power of melanin. In the sense of, as Tupac say, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
I would agree.
And in that sense, so yes, like I said before, there is an idea of the standard of what we believe to be beautiful. I believe a dark complected woman who embraces all of her naturalness is far superior, especially in this day, and in her beauty, than someone who is attempting to assimilate or look like someone else.
So if you have any more children, she's gonna be a chocolate goddess.
I mean, I got one. I have a daughter named Onyx. Beautiful. Now, but I'm not saying I'd have just as much love as I have for Onyx as I have for my oldest Monroe. You know
I believe that.
And in that sense, it's unfortunate because I feel like we're the only community that has to deal with complexionism at this level. And
but white supremacy introduced that into us.
Because there's the caste system and the class system that's in India. That's
right. But caste, that is true. That is true. But who introduced that into India? They were colonized by the British.
They were as well, but again, because as you remember, and it's in the books, and I don't want to say this because I don't want to, but even in African consciousness, and it shows as we go all the way back to those conversations of when the white man did come on the continent, we looked at them as foreign and inferior.
Oh, absolutely. The white man was traditionally painted as the devil in African culture.
So
before we ever encountered him.
Right. So in that, it was never at some point, and however it happened through the colonization and all of that, this idea of beauty of a lighter complected, a thinner nose, a thinner lip individual was placed on us.
Okay. So you fell victim to that?
I don't think I did. I feel like again, like I said, it's so complex even in my world because, you know, one of the mothers of my children has a strong, you know, Islam background, and when I say I'm a Muslim from Africa, you know, and those understandings, but she's lighter complected. One would look at her and wouldn't even know, or even in the sense of one of the mothers of my children is a dark-skinned complected, but still can be considered Afro-Latina because so it's
but African Latinas are still African.
100%.
Just a different language.
But even within their infrastructure.
Yes. They have the color
system.
hierarchy.
Yeah, there's
introduced by the white supremacy though.
Right. So when I say that, I'm not looking to see, how dark you are, how full your lips are, how wide your nose is.
Let me take it another way.
Right.
When Princess Onyx grows up with her siblings, you're going to have a conversation along with their mothers about colorism.
100%.
As someone who grew up in a home with a dark sister who was darker than me, beautiful, but my older sister was darker.
Right.
I saw how she suffered some of the pangs of colorism within my extended family.
100%.
So when Onyx gets to the age where she begins to recognize race, and Brother Nick Cannon has to have that conversation with her mother and the mothers of your other children and your children, your family. Right. You're going to have this conversation. And when you start explaining to Onyx that your blackness is in no way a sin or a curse, it's a blessing and a power.
Absolutely.
Right? When she reflects back to you.
Her name is Onyx for a reason.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's black power, actually.
Yeah.
But when she reflects back to you as her father and say, well, Dad, if this color is all that great, how did you end up to reproduce so many children with women who are not this color? What would you say to Onyx?
Dad has a problem of wanting an assortment of flavors.
Get out of here.
It's the truth. I want to taste everything. I want to know what that tastes like. I want to know what that tastes like. And it's just, and if I'm being honest, sitting here, it's just like, and I said, I got in trouble and I apologize because I didn't know it hit him this way. And I apologize again. I was on one of these podcasts and I was outwardly speaking, and I think it kind of came out the wrong way. I was speaking about my brother Travis Scott.
Okay, what happened with Travis?
And it was when because
the situation that happened.
No, he has a child with Kylie Jenner.
Okay,
and I was attempting to take his side and say the statement I made. I said, in Travis dating Kylie, at no point do I think he was attempting to make a cultural statement. And in that, I think it got perceived.
But is ignorance an excuse for irresponsibility?
You asked that question before.
Yes.
I think it was perceived as him saying, but I was actually saying, I do the same thing where I'm doing it for love.
Okay.
I'm not doing it to be right here to say I'm doing it for my community or any of that stuff. I'm doing it because I love this woman. Now it may be,
and I don't doubt
and it may be ignorant because I'm not thinking about what the community is gonna think. I'm doing it because, man, I fell in love with this woman regardless of her complexion, regardless of her race, regardless of her upbringing.
But do you have an obligation to the community though? You married her because you loved her.
No,
but do you have?
Because I get this all the time. You can't talk black and sleep white. You can't be black in the streets and white in the sheets.
When we look at childhood actors,
yes,
you are the most prominent, successful black childhood actor probably in American history. People think of Nick Cannon. You understand?
Right.
So. To all the beautiful chocolate black girls of the same complexion as your beautiful daughter Onyx, and even those of every other complexion, yours, mine, and so forth, for you to be the king of childhood actors, which means our daughters love you. They talk about you. I heard kids talk about you the other day in positive manner. Do you not feel any guilt at all for the fact you did not provide them with that wholesome example of showing them how much a black woman deserved to be loved on by not choosing one yourself?